My name is Dr. Lukele. I'm a student at Aspen University. In this short video, I present on leading globally diverse teams, a topic that's becoming important these days. I will discuss dimensions of cultural difference, discuss multicultural and global dilemmas for leaders, discuss development of high-functioning teams, the models associated therewith, and then the relationship on managing globally diverse teams and how all of this ties together. There are several dimensions of cultural difference which Chin and Trimble refer to as skill sets required by leaders to manage cultural differences. I'll discuss only 5 in this video. The first one is power distance. We have low and high power distance cultures. In low power distance cultures, there's an expectation of equality between those that are in power and those that are led. While in high power distance cultures, there is respect for those that are in authority. The next one is universalism, which is about rules versus relationships. In cultures of universalism, the letter and spirit of the contract matters, while those in relationships focus more on the spirit of the contract, and they tend to handle things in a more fluid way. Next is specific versus diffuse cultures. In specific cultures, they tend to be very direct, clear, to the point, and even blunt when they are in conversations or they are engaging with their counterparts. While in those cultures with a diffuse perspective or approach, they tend to be tactful, they flow with ambiguity, and they also use both direct and indirect depending on the situation that they are dealing with. The next one is assertiveness. Assertiveness is more about those cultures where they are tough, they are confrontational. People there, they assert themselves and they tend to be competitive. Versus in other cultures which are modest and tender, and in the relation they focus more on relationships, being warm, cooperative, and creating harmony in the discussions or in the interactions is more important than actually sort of winning. Next is performance orientation. This might be a bit similar to assertiveness, but this talks about the culture where in performance-oriented cultures, people are rewarded for performance improvement and excellence, as opposed to other cultures where the emphasis is more on loyalty and belonging, and the way people conduct themselves is towards ensuring that they are seen to belong to the culture or belong to the group in question. Coming to dilemmas of multicultural and global leader. Again, here I've selected only 5 because there are several of these that we can discuss. The first one is self-awareness, or the identity of a leader. This is really the challenge of the leader who finds himself or herself in a multicultural context to actually say, who am I in this context? Do I conform to be effective? Conform to the culture? And that conforming, at what cost does it come to the leader's ability to lead? We also talk about the authenticity of a leader. When you are conforming, what happens to the authenticity? So these are the dilemmas that a leader in a global multicultural environment faces. The next one is image management, which is somewhat related to self-awareness. There is an expectation that you are maintaining a certain identity as a leader, and that identity that has been communicated must align to the expectation of members. And when members appraise the effectiveness of the leader, they look at what has been communicated by the leader. to come to the conclusion of their effectiveness with respect particularly to the image that they project. So it is quite a dilemma. The next one I'll talk about is negotiation. There are generally two styles of negotiation. One is cooperation and the other one is competition. In these discussions and walking through this dilemma, there are quite a number of considerations. There's accommodating, there's avoidance, there's compromise, there's competing to win, there's collaborating, and the leader needs to walk through this and decide what makes sense for the business in the long term. Next is communication. There are three objectives to communicating. Communicating about the performance of tasks, communicating to build relationships or to resolve conflict, and communicating to project a certain image about your intentions and how you do things, your values and the like. Now it is important to walk through this in a carefully managed manner so that the intentions of the communication are not missed, leading to miscommunication and confusion. This is the dilemma that the leader needs to continuously manage in his or her communication. The last dilemma that I'll discuss is decision making. I can just comment here that the thread running through these dilemmas for leaders in multicultural environments is actually building relationships on the one side and being competitive on the other. Again, when it comes to decision making, some cultures emphasize relationships and consensus building, while the masculine cultures they emphasize heroism, being competitive, gaining advantage over your competitors. And in these masculine cultures, consensus building is seen as weak and indecisive, but it's a cultural thing. So a leader needs to walk through this in relation to where they are, who they are, and the environment in which they operate. I now discuss models that can be used in developing culturally competent leaders. The first one is a KSA model, which is about knowledge, skills, and awareness. In knowledge, we are about knowledge of the culture and the nuances, having the skills to negotiate the cultural differences, and having the awareness, the sensitivity, the right attitudes towards difference and diversity. These are focused on the individual leader. The next one is BASC, where B is for behavior, and this one focuses on the interaction between the leader and the members, looking at the behavior exchanges between the two. In conclusion, we note that developing these skills amongst leaders who are going to operate in a multicultural global environment will help them to appreciate the dimensions of cultural diversity, give them the ability to appreciate and negotiate dilemmas, and all of these will lead to a better organizational and societal well-being. And this is the reference that I've used to inform the video.